Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to the Thursday edition of Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 18th day of March 2021. Well, let's see, we have Fehu today as the rune. Now on Monday we had Sawillo and Vaya, so the light of spirit essentially helping us to light a new path forward. The Two of Pentacles was the first card, then the Devil, then the Hanged Man. And basically, I think how we ended up interpreting it looks like I also pulled the Seven of Wands and the High Priestess to give more information on that. Looking over my notes here, I think that how we did this was we needed to make a decision based on spirit versus ego. But with the Seven of Wands, it brought in the notion of standing your ground. And so that brings in the notion of integrity. And then the High Priestess brings in the notion of subconscious balance. Also a two, the second card two of the major arcana, so aligns with the two and the Two of Pentacles. That way, two can be reciprocity, it can be balance, it can be decision making. But basically, I think that when you're standing your ground, I think it has to do with largely who you are. Are you doing that being informed by spirit, or is the ego informing that whole process? And so it really was an internal type of an experience, I think, on Monday. Let's see what we have today, though. So we had Fehu as the rune, and then we have, let me put these in order. Oh, it's looking like Albus. Albus is the rune for the sage or the older person in your life, or you, if that's you. Someone with hair my color, white hair, or silver hair, however you want to see that. Oh, here we have Albus. So that's the geomancy rune for today. So whatever your casting today, because Fehu is about wealth, it's also about cattle. But in terms of movable wealth, cattle can move about. And so back in the day when it was tribal and all of that, folks tended to move, and they tended to sell things that, or trade things that were also movable. So it was a different type of experience, and either that, or you could stay put and you didn't have to move around to then trade and increase your wealth. But in witchcraft, Fehu is known as the sending rune. So it's a rune that you can use to cast your intentions. So, for today, in terms of the runes, we're talking about casting our intention for wisdom and greater awareness, spiritual awareness. So that's where we start. If we're building on Monday's reading, then realistically we're talking about where we're landing, in terms of where we're standing our ground. Is it ego-based or is it spirit-based? And so at least so far today, that's what it seems to be. But we'll see. Let me shuffle a little bit here, and then we'll get going on the cards. I hope the week's been good to you. I hope you've had a productive week. We've are starting to do our outside work that we do during the spring, and we got our field burned on the weekend, and I think if it rains today, which it might, then my husband will be able to drag the field. But he wants to at least get, there was some snow on it, which helps. We had a little bit of snow the night after we did that. So that was kind of cool. But we do probably need a rain, which doesn't happen very often where we live. So, but it's supposed to maybe rain today, so that would be great. And then he can drag the field and just sort of mush it all around, and it's what you do. And then the folks that cut our hay last year, we hadn't had our hay cut in years. They texted my husband again, and they're interested in doing it again this year. So they must have liked it. So anyway, that would be lovely if that could be the case. To get our field cut. It's so much nicer when you can cut the field once. Otherwise, you're burning stuff at the following year that's 3 or 4 feet high, and it's not. I don't like that. So it's nice to get the thing cut. Plus, my chickens appreciate the hay. We don't have any, cows or anything like that, but they sure like the hay. It's because there's still seed on it and stuff, and there's clover and all that. So they get all kinds of stuff that they can chew on over the wintertime. And plus, it makes good bedding. So anyway, I think that's enough on the shuffling. The 2 geese are back. She's definitely building her nest back on the dock like she used to before we put the chicken coop in. I think that messed with things. I think they got concerned and it didn't look the same. And so, but now, they were laying like across the pond somewhere, and they did that for 2 seasons, and now they're back on the dock, which is very cool. I was able to get a video for that to send to my grandkids, so that was very nice. Anyhow, let's go ahead and look at the cards. I think that's enough shuffling. Well, let's see. We have a 1-1. Interesting. We have an interesting pattern numerology here in the numerology of this here. Let me put this, I guess, right there. If the court cards were numbered, the page would be card 11. Okay? So 1-1. And here we have an ace of wands, which is a 1. Here we have the 10. So we have beginnings and endings, right? Here we have the 10, which also reduces to 1. So 1-1. And then we have, and so if you think the 11, you think in terms of the master number 11, and you think in terms of enlightenment and illumination. And what is the page? A page is a messenger. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, but let's take a look at the. I don't know. I just saw that, so we'll see. We'll see if we need another card too here. Because on Monday we ended up taking 5, which I never do. Sometimes I'll take a 4th, and only one other time in all the time I've been doing this on the videos here have I ever taken a 5th card. And so yesterday was my 2nd time. So anyway, so the Ace of Wands is about the birth of creativity, passion. It's a fire element, and so it's the will. You see a hand reaching out from the clouds, which is a familiar theme in tarot. Happens with the aces a lot, but it also happens with other things too. Here you have a crude club, basically with the leaves still attached in places there, and little stems there. Reaching out from a cloud of mystery, usually a cloud of spirit. But realistically, it could be anything. Your will can invoke in a spiritual way, or your will can invoke in an ego way. So, but basically, it's about power and energy. Okay, the energy to create, if you will. Now here we've come. Now, it'd be interesting if it was the 10 of wands, but it's not. It's the 10 of swords. And so here we've gone as far as we can go with our perceptions. And they've really gotten away from us. I think that we've seen that a lot in terms of the conspiracy stuff that's going on right now with some people. This would be perception run amok, believing in something that is clearly being done to them. It's not as if they say they found Buddhism or something, or Taoism or something, or some philosophical thing that's been around for a long time. And they feel, blessed by it or something. That's not what this is. This is something that a group of people are doing to other people. And so it's not, in other words, it's a violent act in terms of their perceptions, in terms of their will, so basically it's an act of violence on these people is what this is. And unfortunately, here you have perception run amok. Now, it's not the end of the world, because you see the sun is returning. The day is dawning on us here. We don't see the sun, but we see the yellow, and so it's implied, right? Now, inherent in the 10 is endings, but it's also beginnings, because when you look at it as a 1, you're looking at new beginnings with the 1, unity, wholeness, fulfillment, leadership, revolution, all of that is contained within the one. So when you're letting go of perceptions that no longer serve, that truly can be a revolutionary act, depending on what it is. And here, it's just a lot. Here the swords are piercing the individual dead on the ground. But the emotions have gone still, haven't they? You see challenges represented by the mountains in the background, but there's a dividing line right there. You can see it's kind of a darker line. I've been calling that a line of demarcation. Sometimes, well, you can see it here on the page. It's a dual line. You can see there between the sand where he's standing and the ocean behind. It's like it's a this is now, that was then kind of moment, or there's a separation between it, though, that I think we need to pay attention to. And here, there's a separation between the calmness of the emotions, because you don't see choppiness in the water. Here, you see, it's not smooth water. It's the ocean's doing this, right? But here, everything's calmed down, because you've really gone as far as you can go, right? I mean, in a sense, it represents Degas in a big way, the rune Degas, where you have energy at its saturation point becomes its opposite. It looks like a bow tie. And I don't think I have it sitting out here anywhere, so I can't show you. But the bottom line is that the idea is that you're standing on the precipice of something new. And in a sense, that's what's happening here, because it's the end of perception. Now, you can look at this externally instead of internally, but I really think that it actually does us better to look at things internally. But sometimes this can also mean that there's just been a whole lot of manipulation coming in on you, and it's just destroyed you. But I rarely ever read it that way. There would have to be other cards here present for something like that to happen. Maybe the Three of Swords or something, where it definitely defines it as, say, a love triangle, or as people stabbing you in the back or whatever. So if there were other cards such as that, then that we might read it that way. But I don't think so. I think especially with the Ace of Wands and the birth of creativity, you've got something new. Realistically, we could start with the 10. We could move these cards around and start with the 10 of Swords. All right. And then say, okay, now we've let go of perceptions that no longer serve, and now we have the birth of creativity. We could say it that way. Or we have the birth of creativity, and why? Because we let go of perceptions that no longer serve. We want to leave them in the order we drew them. But it doesn't really matter. You can move your cards around. It's fine. You have to make this make sense to you. But the Page of Cups now, we're looking at a youthful person, a messenger. But this is someone who's imaginative. This is the water element. So you're talking emotions, intuition, empathy. Although intuition can also be the Ace of Wands. But even though emotions are not settled, we have a new message that talks about confidence and discretion. Depending upon the other cards, you could have, say if you had the Empress or something and the Page of Cups, that might indicate the birth of a child. But the page is considered someone who is a youthful person. Sometimes it's represented as a princess and not as a page, but then of course then you would have the knight or the prince next, and then the queen and the king. So you're looking at the whole family basically when you look at the court cards. But here you have a page who's reaching out he's holding a golden chalice with a fish sticking its head out. So maybe Pisces there, a little emotion going on. But this is a card of intuition. You're looking back over the past, and you're reevaluating. Here your perceptions. Well, he's looking toward the past instead of the future. So maybe what we're doing in messages is to reevaluate the emotional presence that you have, as well as letting go of perceptions that no longer serve you. Maybe replace it with something that, is a little more steadfast in terms of emotions. But it's also having maybe some compassion for the time. Look, I keep coming back to the whole conspiracy stuff that's going on, and the effect that's had on people. They my new congressman, who replaced the other one who wasn't running again, Republican, so not someone I voted for, but not only voted no on certifying the Electoral College, he's only been there, he just gets sworn in and he does this, right? And then he votes no on reauthorizing the Violence Against Women Act yesterday. So, this will follow him, and I'm sure all the other stupid votes he's going to take that he, isn't about the country and all of that. But, again, if you're talking about if you're looking at this through the lens of the conspiracy nonsense, which I don't know how you can't, that's based on a level of faulty perception that is so manipulative and so destructive. There's no truth to any of this stuff. And yet at the same time, they're all in. So when you have a situation like that and you make the realization, that hey, I'm on the wrong track here. And it's but it's not just about, oh, okay, I'll think something else. No, there's an emotional component to all of it. It's actually what, in fact, what drew the people to this was emotion-based. And so consequently, when we can say, oh, well, let go of perceptions that no longer serve you. Well, okay, how do I do that? Because now I have to accept the fact that I was duped, which no one wants to accept that, especially on this level. Because with some people, they'll be going to prison because of it, right? So you have lawmakers that want to make decisions that don't benefit the country, that certainly don't benefit their state, don't benefit their constituents, because they're being beholden to an ideology that doesn't serve anyone, that only harms people. And it's been the truth forever about this. But to let go of it is a very difficult thing. And I think that everyone involved, even if you can't reach out to somebody that's going through this, you have to keep your heart open, I think. That's the choice I'm making. Beyond that, I don't really know what else to do, but just to wait and see what happens with these folks that seem to want to hang on to something, again, that is destructive and manipulative, not based in truth. It was the whole con back in the early 80s when Ronald Reagan was the president, and they came up with that stupid notion of trickle-down economics. Well, it's like, oh yeah, just because he restructured everything, whereas the 1% were paying like, I don't know, 70% or 90% or whatever it was, some massive amount in taxes, right? He reduced it to 28%. His administration did, and said, oh well, no, you will let the rich make a lot of money because it will trickle down to the rest of you. I was really young. I had just gotten married in 79. So I was 21 when I got married. And so then 80 was, we got married in 79 in May. And then August of 80 was when our first child was born. And so I was 22, 23. I guess I was 23 when we moved here to Central Oregon or something. But anyway, when this whole thing started, I just laughed out loud. I said, oh, you've got to be kidding me. They're scamming everybody. And people buy this crap? Well, it was crap then and it's crap now, and that's what you've got. It's turned into this weird fascist-oriented thing, right? And maybe it was always going to go there. I don't know. But one would have hoped we could have found a better balance. But I think with the Page of Cups, there's a level of compassion there that we need to offer that cup of healing, if we can, to people in this process of letting go of the perceptions that no longer serve them. And I only bring this to the greater population because I think that, this is a very serious thing. Again, there are people that are going to go to jail for this stuff, for believing all this nonsense, because they attacked the Capitol on January 6th, as you all remember. So this is going to be something that I mean, this whole conspiracy stuff has impacted families. You've got articles out now of people being interviewed, children, adult children or late teens or whatever, but they're adult children, a lot of them, and they don't know what to do with mom. They don't know what to do with dad, but a lot of it is mom. We don't know what to do with mom. Mom's in trouble because mom's not thinking right at all, right? And they don't know what to do. But at some point we have to move forward, don't we? We see the Knight of Cups, and we're looking at the winged sun up here of healing on top of his helmet. He's not in battle, even though he's in battle attire. We know he's not in battle because his visor's up. There's no war going on at this moment. He's got this beautiful white horse who is about to step over the little creek right here that's winding. So the emotions are still trying to work themselves out, in other words. Things are not completely settled because it's windy, right? It's the whole long and winding road. Well, here, instead of the road, it's our emotions and the emotional state. And we have to be willing to move forward together in harmony and reciprocity. The Knight of Cups is romantic, chivalrous, passionate, a visionary. He kind of signals arrival. So I think that there's a point at which we're going to resolve all of this, but it's going to take some time. And unfortunately, the cause and effect of what happens, I do this, it doesn't work out, this is the effect. It's going to have to be profound for some of these folks to sit up and take notice. There is a growing number of them, though, who are starting to understand that they were used and duped and all of that, and they're working through their emotions about all of it. There will be anger, there will be feelings of loss, there will all kinds of things. This is not going to be an easy thing. It's like when someone comes out of a cult, you're a bit bewildered by everything. You're bewildered by everybody's reaction to you. You don't understand. You don't want to leave. So there's this push-pull thing that goes on. And I think that what we need to do now is, especially with Fehu and Albus as our runes, this sort of governs the energy of the reading here. The idea is that we cast the intention of wisdom going forward. If you look at the magical forecasts I do them on Monday through Friday, there's a section on cosmic rays down at the bottom, and the rays are what influence everything. They go through the constellations, they go through the planets, they go through different stars, and they come through to where they finally hit the earth, and they hit us, and they influence everything. Right now we're seeing an excess of Ray 2 and Ray 6, and so you're looking at love and wisdom for Ray 2, and Ray 6 is devotion and idealism. Sometimes this Ray 6 is stronger, and so there's not enough wisdom to overshadow devotion and idealism run amok. It's one thing to have a fervent belief about something. It's another thing to attack the Capitol on January 6th. You see the difference there. And so when you see the sixth ray out there ahead of everybody, stronger than everybody, then you have to be concerned about ideology running amok. And that's what we've been experiencing of late. If the love and wisdom, if the Ray 2 can overshadow that and be stronger, then it provides some wisdom. And right now, I haven't looked at today's chart, but yesterday's, we're looking at that type of energy where the second ray of love and wisdom is stronger than the sixth ray of devotion and idealism. So if you want to just look at that a little bit, you can kind of get an idea of, that's over there on the blog at Stepping Aside. You can look at that and see, again, it's down at the bottom. But I think it's a fascinating thing to look at. It's part of esoteric astrology, and I really like it. So I include that in there to just give people the idea that there's some fundamental energies that are influencing us. When the fourth ray of harmony through conflict is not functioning properly, if it's not strong enough, then the truth doesn't get revealed. And so right now we're kind of, in a mix there where sometimes that's stronger and sometimes not so much. when the fifth ray of concrete knowledge and science is less, then people aren't listening to Dr. Fauci. So it's that sort of thing that you can kind of get an idea of the energies involved in the day that are influencing us the strongest. So check that out if you want to. And again, I think that that's it. I think that we just need to keep our heart open and be ready to move forward here as people are letting go of perceptions that no longer serve. Those of you that are doing that also need to keep your heart open and with the eye toward compassion and being compassionate on yourself as well as this struggle starts to resolve itself. So I guess that's it, you know. This is not an easy time for people. It's not just about the virus, it's about other things as well. And it all just sort of converges together and makes this mishmash of energies that are just discordant. And it's not getting us going in the direction we need to go in terms of healing, and not only from the virus or staying safe from the virus and getting vaccinated, but healing the relationships that have gone astray and have been effectively destroyed in some cases. We need to fix all of that. But we can't force it. It's just got to happen naturally. So the best way, I think, is just keep your heart open and on either side of the equation and see if we can't move into the light together. So I guess that's it for today. We'll meet again on Sunday for Esoteric Influences, and again then Monday and Thursday of next week for Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune. Happy Ostara. On Saturday we have the spring equinox. Ostara is both Saturday and Sunday, so blessings to you if you celebrate, and if you don't, look it up. See what it is. It's kind of the beginnings of Easter from the pagan world. So anyway, I guess that's it. Check out the Patreon page. Become a Patreon member for $1 a month if you'd like to do that. I'd love it if you did. There you can support the blog. There's a patreon.me thing. It shows us a little tip teacup over there on the blog. If you want to support the blog, you can do that too. Otherwise, like the video, like the YouTube channel, and come back, subscribe to the YouTube channel and come back. And, wear a mask if you go around anyone at all, even if you've been vaccinated, wear a mask. But be aware that some of those requirements are changing, so be aware of the changes, and be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.